G20 summit. Today's headline from the newspaper Hindu, which says that PM meets Xi Biden in Bali. She and Biden in Bali talks with 8 other leaders today. So let's see what this headline is all about. Modi spoke with Chinese president at the G20 leaders banquet and reviewed strategic ties and cooperation in future-oriented sectors such as artificial intelligence with US President. So right now, President Prime Minister Modi is in Bali for the G20 summit. So let's understand what this summit is all about. Emergence. We'll start with emergence of G20. It is an international forum comprises of 19 countries and European along with the European Union. So it has more than 20 countries because European Union has many other countries along with it. These are the most developed and advanced countries in the globe on the globe. So that's why this international forum has very much importance in its existence and its meetings. Basically, these powerful countries contribute towards 85% of the global GDP, 75% of international trade, and the world population is over this country. In these countries are two-thirds of the world population. In the year 1999, it started with a meeting of finance ministers and governors of these member nations. But 2008 crisis led to the emergence of meeting leaders rather than finance ministers and government at this summit, at the G20 summit. That summit was at Washington DC in November 2008. There, the main criteria was to discussing the global crisis because all the countries were heading towards recession. Then summit managed to coordinate the major issues, economic issues, fiscal and monetary policies among the major member nations because there was a much needed global recovery from this recession. So this forum became very important. It grew organically as an important forum to address the long-term structural changes. Now, this summit more or less frames the basic infrastructure for the global trade and cooperation. Now let's see what does this current summit is details, focus, and primary importance. The Bali summit is the 17th of its kind. Bali in Indonesia is hosting the 17th G20 summit. It was between 15th and 16th November 2022. The main focus in this summit was global health architecture. This is a summit that is held after COVID pandemic. So the COVID has shown that the given the amount of infrastructure for health infrastructure, it is not suffice to deal with such a huge level of pandemic. So measures has to be taken. Secondly, the climate change is upfront. We can we can eventually see what is happening around the world. So there is a much needed sustainable energy transition is required. We have to bring down the carbon footprints, carbon emission. So it is not possible for a country to operate on its own. There is global cooperation is much needed. Then there is a digital transformation. Digital transformation is every country is just heading towards a digital transformation. Motto of this G20 summit is to recover together and recover stronger. Global recessions, and as we are no longer limited to the boundaries. Digital transformation has taken place. Internet connection is all around. Therefore, with isolation, we cannot get along. We have to recover together and recover strong. Now, let's see what is India's role in this G20 summit. Indonesian President Joko Widodo handed over the G20 process to Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi. India will from December 1st onwards would formally take over the presidency of G20 process. They have to You have to make so many meetings related to all these things: economics, physical, health structure, digital transformation. In his speech, Mr. Modi stated that India's presidency will be inclusive, ambitious, decisive, and action oriented. India is presiding G20 at a time when the globe is facing geopolitical tension, mainly Ukraine Russian war, the economic slowdown. The shock in India is not that higher than that the other countries are facing. Other countries are at the edge of recession. Not really, many have started seeing the after effects of the recessions. Even the developed countries are facing this after effects. Also, there is a rising food and energy price. So basically, India will host the 18th G20 summit in 2023.